Modular is all about experimentation, but there's certain things that I tend to use the same way every time. So this video is going to be about how I route my drums. So the first part is the NerdSEQ, which is the sequencer that I use to program all my drum parts. I'll make a new pattern, and then I get this drum matrix view. And what's neat about this, I can kind of use, some pattern generators to build stuff. I'll just add a couple things in there so you can see it. And now when I hit play, notice all these lights on here blinking. These are triggers that are coming out of this interface, just trigger pulses. And then in my drum section over here, I'm going to take some of those triggers and send them over to these modules so that we can hear what they're doing. And I usually set all that up exactly the same way. I always have the kick trigger going to the kick drum. Notice that I can see it after I enter it on there. And then same thing for the snare. I come out of the second channel into the snare. And then for the hi-hats, I have channel 3 coming into the closed hat. And then channel 4 coming into the open hat. So I can have some syncopation happening there. Let me add 2 snares to this. So then I work with the audio. So what I do for my drums is I submix them on this box up here called Mingles. And Mingles is basically just 6 mono channels. And then you can have a variety of different outputs. I just really use them to sum to the stereo output. So let me just get that all set up before I say any more. The other thing I like to do though is the thing that's missing from Mingles is it doesn't have any mutes. So I have this little Herzlich Labs mute next to it. I can just put 3 ins, send 3 outs into here, and then I have mutes that I can add to stuff. I'll take the kick out, and I'll put that into in 1. My snare out, I'll put that into in 2, and then my hat out, and I'll put that into in 3. And then for the output of these, I'll do the snare and the hat first because I'm going to do something else with the kick. So out of out 2 will be the snare. I'll put that into this little plus input here, or multiply input. I'll take the hat out and I'll put that into this middle one in here. And then I don't want my kick to be panned in stereo. I just want it to be, like a mono style kick. So what I do with this is instead of going out of here with just one connector, I'll take that single output and I'll put it into this splitter. And then I'll have that going into channel 1 and 4, which are these 2 up here. And then what I can do is I can just keep the volume on these 2 the same. And then regardless of how it's panned, it'll always be sort of panned in the middle, right? So I have control over all that stuff now. So let's turn this on so that it's not muted. And then I'll turn the volume up here so we can hear something. Oh, right, I've got to take my main outs. So I'll go just sort of the main mix out, bring this down, go into channel 1, and then take this one in as stereo also. And if you're listening in stereo right now, you're going to hear the hat's kind of on the right, the snare's kind of on the left. But the neat thing is I can go in and I can apply an LFO rate to this and increase the CV amount. And then what that's going to end up doing, if I sort of keep this in the center, is based on the CV amount, it's going to start panning a little bit in the stereo field. So it's not just as static as always